The night sky was clear, the stars sharp against the black void. In the silence of the Deep Space Observatory, Dr. Lena Carter's fingers trembled over the keyboard as she watched the data stream in. The readings were wrong, had to be. Yet, the numbers persisted, unyielding in their truth. An anomaly, enormous and inexplicable, was accelerating toward Earth. Not a comet, not an asteroid, something else entirely. She pushed her glasses up, her mind racing. General Hale needs to see this. Her voice was barely above a whisper, but the urgency carried through the empty room. Minutes later, a secure line connected her to General Marcus Hale. His image appeared on the screen, sharp features set in a skeptical frown. "Dr. Carter, what am I looking at?" His tone was calm, almost dismissive. "A gravitational anomaly, General. It's unlike anything we've ever encountered. Whatever it is, it's coming straight for us." Hale's frown deepened, eyes narrowing as he scrutinized the data. "Natural or engineered? That's what worries me," Lena replied, her voice steady despite the dread knotting her stomach. "There's nothing natural about this." Hale leaned back, considering. "What's your assessment?" "If it's artificial, it's a precursor to something much worse," Lena said, meeting his gaze through the screen. "We need to be ready." The general's silence was heavy, filled with the weight of imminent decisions. "I'll have to brief the council. Prepare for an emergency session." The line went dead. Lena exhaled slowly, her breath fogging the glass in front of her. The room felt colder now, the hum of machinery more ominous. She returned to her data, fingers moving mechanically as she double-checked the readings. The anomaly wasn't slowing. If anything, it was accelerating. Hours later, the emergency session convened. A dozen world leaders, scientists, and military officials filled the virtual room. Lena's face was pale on the screen, her voice carrying the gravity of the situation as she presented her findings. The world's greatest minds debated the anomaly, theories bouncing back and forth like ricocheting bullets. Some said a rogue planet, others a malfunctioning starship. No consensus was reached, only a shared unease that settled over the room like a shroud. Then came the transmission, a crackling signal from space, untraceable but clear. The voice was deep, resonant, and unmistakably alien. "We come in peace. Earth's gravity holds the key to survival. Allow us to land." The room fell silent, disbelief etched on every face. Lena's pulse quickened as she glanced at Hale, whose expression was a mask of stoic resolve. They both knew this was no coincidence. The anomaly was not a threat, it was a message. "What do we do?" one of the diplomats asked, breaking the silence. "We find out what they want," Hale replied, his voice steady but laced with tension. He turned to Lena, his gaze unwavering. "You'll lead the contact team, Dr. Carter." Lena nodded, her mind already racing through the possibilities. If these aliens needed Earth's gravity, it could mean one of two things: cooperation or conquest. Either way, humanity was on the brink of a revelation that could change the course of history. As the meeting adjourned, Lena felt the weight of the world pressing down on her. The mystery deepened with every passing second, the anomaly drawing nearer, bringing with it both hope and dread. The final countdown had begun, and with it, the first steps toward an uncertain future. Outside the observatory, the stars continued their silent vigil, unaware, or uncaring, of the forces converging on the tiny blue planet below. The air in the briefing room was thick with tension, the walls vibrating faintly as the alien craft descended into Earth's atmosphere. Dr. Lena Carter stood at the center of the room, eyes fixed on the holographic display projecting the alien ship's trajectory. It moved with deliberate precision, as if to signal peaceful intentions. Yet, the unease in the room was palpable. General Marcus Hale's voice cut through the silence. "They've chosen a landing site, an isolated area in the Nevada desert. We have 20 minutes to be in position." Lena nodded, her mind racing. The scientific implications were staggering, but the risks were just as high. She glanced at the faces around her, engineers, diplomats, military personnel, all reflecting the same mix of awe and apprehension. They were on the verge of an unprecedented event in human history, but no one knew whether it would be a triumph or a disaster. "Let's get moving," Hale ordered, snapping Lena out of her thoughts. "Carter, you're with me. We need to be prepared for anything." The transport helicopter roared to life, its rotors slicing through the desert air as they sped toward the landing site. Lena's pulse quickened as they approached the coordinates. On the horizon, the alien craft hovered, a sleek, metallic structure that defied conventional understanding. It was massive yet elegant, radiating a subtle energy that made the air hum. Lena felt the vibrations in her bones, a low-frequency thrumming that was both mesmerizing and unsettling. As they landed, a ramp extended from the alien ship, touching the ground with a muted thud. A collective breath was held as the first figure emerged, a tall, slender being draped in iridescent robes. Its skin shimmered with hues of blue and silver, eyes dark and unreadable. It moved with an otherworldly grace, every step deliberate, as if it was aware of the weight of the moment. "Greetings," the being's voice resonated, a harmonious blend of tones that filled the air without the need for translation devices. "I am Zara, envoy of the Tari. We seek an alliance with humanity." General Hale stepped forward, his posture firm but respectful. "We appreciate your peaceful approach, Zara. But before we discuss any alliance, we need to understand your true intentions." Zara inclined her head, acknowledging the caution. "The Voraxians, a nomadic empire, have ravaged our homeworlds. Their weapons manipulate gravity with devastating precision. We fled, seeking refuge, and discovered that Earth's unique gravitational properties could be key to turning the tide." Lena's mind raced. The gravity anomaly, this was it. The Tari needed Earth's gravitational field, not just for survival, but as a weapon. "How do we know this isn't a ploy?" Hale pressed, his tone sharp. "You come here asking for help, but for all we know, this could be a trap." Zara's gaze was steady, unreadable. "If we fail to repel the Voraxians, your world will suffer the same fate as ours. We have nothing to gain from deception." Lena stepped forward, her voice measured. "If what you're saying is true, then we need to work together. But this alliance has to be built on trust and transparency. Show us how Earth's gravity can be used against the Voraxians." Zara nodded slowly. "Very well. We will share our technology, and together, we will forge a weapon capable of defending both our worlds." As the Tari envoy spoke, Lena felt a surge of both hope and dread. The alliance could be Earth's salvation, or its downfall. The stakes had never been higher, and the clock was ticking. The transport helicopter lifted off, carrying Lena, Hale, and the delegation back to the base. The horizon shimmered with the first light of dawn, but a shadow loomed over it, a shadow that could only be cast by the approaching storm. The underground command center buzzed with a tense energy. Rows of monitors flickered with data, and technicians hurried between consoles, their faces tight with concentration. At the heart of the chaos, Dr. Lena Carter stood beside General Hale, both staring at the central screen displaying the schematics of the Tari device. The alien technology was mind-boggling in its complexity, a web of interlocking fields and algorithms that would harness Earth's gravitational pull in ways humanity had never conceived. "It's ingenious," Lena murmured, her eyes scanning the data. "But it's also incredibly dangerous. If something goes wrong..." Hale cut her off. "We don't have the luxury of playing it safe, Dr. Carter. The Voraxians are on the move, and we're running out of time." Lena knew he was right, but the weight of their gamble pressed down on her. The Tari had provided the blueprint, but the construction and implementation of the device fell squarely on human shoulders. One miscalculation, and the entire planet could be at risk. Zara, the Tari envoy, entered the room, her presence commanding despite her serene demeanor. "The device is nearly complete," she said, her voice a melodic contrast to the tension in the room. "Once activated, it will amplify Earth's gravity into a weaponized field, capable of disrupting the Voraxian ships. But it must be precise. A single fluctuation could destabilize your planet's gravitational balance." Lena's heart skipped a beat. The stakes were higher than she'd imagined. "What are the chances of that happening?" Zara's dark eyes met Lena's. Minimal, if the calculations are exact. But this is uncharted territory for both our species. Hale stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. Then we need to be certain. No room for error. As the hours passed, the team worked in near silence, the gravity of their task mirrored by the literal gravity they sought to manipulate. Lena moved between stations, checking and rechecking the calculations, her mind a blur of numbers and theories. The tension was palpable, like the charged air before a lightning strike. Finally, the moment arrived. The device, a towering structure of shimmering alloys and pulsing lights, stood ready in the heart of the Nevada desert. Lena, Hale, and Zara watched from the command center as the final connections were made. The atmosphere was electric, every second stretching into an eternity. Activating the device in T-10 seconds, a technician announced, his voice barely masking the strain. The countdown began, each tick echoing through the room like a drumbeat. Lena's hands clenched into fists. She could almost feel the pull of Earth's gravity intensifying as the device powered up, drawing energy from the planet itself. The room seemed to vibrate in response, a low hum filling the air. 3, 2, 1, activation. The world held its breath. A brilliant surge of light erupted from the device, arcing across the sky like a solar flare. The command center trembled as the gravitational field expanded, its invisible force radiating outward. The screens flickered, data pouring in as the field stabilized, a controlled storm of energy waiting to be unleashed. "It's holding," Zara said, her voice filled with a quiet triumph. "We've done it!" But the celebration was short-lived. A warning klaxon blared, and the room plunged into chaos. On the main screen, Voraxian ships appeared, emerging from hyperspace like predatory beasts. Their sleek, angular forms glinted menacingly as they closed in on Earth, drawn to the amplified gravity like moths to a flame. "They're here," Hale growled, his hand hovering over the command console. "Prepare to fire." Lena's pulse raced. This was it, the moment that would decide everything. The device had to work, or humanity's last hope would be extinguished before it even began. "Fire the field!" Hale commanded. The order was given, and the world trembled once more as the device unleashed its power. The gravitational field surged outward, a tidal wave of force that tore through the fabric of space. The Voraxian ships shuddered, their sleek forms twisting under the strain. For a moment, it seemed they might break free, but then the field tightened, crushing them like tin cans in a vise. One by one, the ships imploded, their remains swallowed by the void. Silence fell over the command center, the tension slowly ebbing away. Lena exhaled, her shoulders sagging with relief. They had done it, but at what cost? The victory was theirs, but the threat was far from over. The Voraxians would regroup, and when they did, Earth would have to be ready. As the team began to assess the aftermath, Lena caught Zara's gaze. The Tari envoy's expression was inscrutable, but there was a hint of something in her eyes, respect, perhaps, or recognition of humanity's resilience. "This is only the beginning," Zara said softly. Lena nodded, her resolve hardening. "Then we'll be ready." Outside, the dawn broke over the desert, its light chasing away the shadows of the night. But in Lena's mind, the shadows lingered. The battle had been won, but the war was just beginning. The command center was silent, the hum of machinery now the only sound. The Voraxian fleet had been decimated, and for the first time in weeks, there was a moment to breathe. But General Hale knew better than to relax. Victory was never as simple as it seemed. Dr. Lena Carter stood by the observation window, her eyes scanning the horizon. The Nevada desert stretched out in all directions, its vast emptiness a stark contrast to the chaos they had just survived. The Tari device had worked, but the cost lingered in the air, unseen, yet palpable. "We bought ourselves time, but that's all," Lena said, her voice quiet but firm. She turned to face Hale, her gaze intense. "The Voraxians won't give up after a single defeat. They'll come back stronger, and they'll adapt. We need to be ready." Hale nodded, his expression grim. "Agreed. But what's our next move?" Before Lena could answer, Zara entered the room, her presence as commanding as ever. The Tari envoy's calm demeanor had been a source of stability throughout the crisis, but there was an edge to her now, a tension that hadn't been there before. "Our sensors have detected unusual activity near the asteroid belt," Zara said, her voice laced with urgency. "The Voraxians are regrouping, but they're not preparing for a direct assault. They're up to something else, something more insidious." Lena's mind raced. "What do you mean?" "They're targeting your planet's natural defenses, Earth's gravity, its magnetic field, even its atmosphere. If they can't defeat you with brute force, they'll destabilize your planet itself." Hale's eyes narrowed. "Sabotage on a planetary scale. They're trying to turn our greatest strength into a weakness." Zara nodded. "Exactly. And if they succeed, Earth will be defenseless." The room fell silent, the weight of Zara's words sinking in. The Voraxians had always been a relentless enemy, but this was a new level of cunning. They weren't just attacking humanity, they were attacking the very foundation of the planet. "We need to stop them before they can finish whatever they're planning," Lena said, her voice resolute. "But we can't do it alone." Zara's gaze softened. "The Tari will help, but this is your fight as much as ours. Humanity has proven its resilience time and time again. You have the ingenuity and the will to survive, even in the face of impossible odds." Hale straightened, a fire igniting in his eyes. "Then let's give them a fight they won't forget. We'll take the battle to them, hit them before they can hit us." Lena nodded, her resolve hardening. "We'll need to be smart about it. Use their tactics against them. They're expecting us to react defensively, so we'll do the opposite." Zara stepped forward, her voice filled with quiet determination. "The Tari have developed a countermeasure, a way to disrupt their sabotage efforts. But it will require precise coordination between our forces. If we fail, the consequences could be catastrophic." Hale's jaw tightened. "Then we won't fail." The team sprang into action, the command center once again buzzing with activity. Plans were drawn up, strategies refined, and alliances solidified. This would be no ordinary battle. It would be a test of everything humanity had learned, every ounce of strength and ingenuity they possessed. Hours later, the combined Earth-K-Tari fleet launched into space, their ships cutting through the darkness like blades of light. Lena watched the stars blur by, her heart pounding in her chest. There was no room for doubt now, no time for second-guessing. The fate of the planet rested on this mission. As they approached the asteroid belt, the tension grew. The Voraxian ships were hidden among the asteroids, their cloaking technology making them nearly invisible. But the Tari sensors were more advanced, and Lena could see the faint outlines of the enemy vessels on her screen. "This is it," Hale said over the comms. "All units, prepare to engage." The first shots rang out, bright streaks of light cutting across the void. The Voraxians responded with brutal efficiency, their ships darting between the asteroids with deadly precision. But the Earth-K-Tari fleet was ready, their tactics honed to perfection. Lena's fingers flew across the controls, coordinating the strike teams as they moved in sync with the Tari. The battle was intense, a chaotic dance of destruction and survival. Explosions lit up the darkness, the shockwaves reverberating through space. And then, in the midst of the chaos, Zara's voice came through. "Now, Dr. Carter! Activate the countermeasure!" Lena didn't hesitate. She pressed the command, and a pulse of energy shot out from their flagship, rippling through the asteroid belt. The Voraxian ships shuddered, their systems faltering as the pulse disrupted their sabotage efforts. It was the opening they needed. The Earth-K-Tari fleet struck hard, overwhelming the Voraxians before they could recover. One by one, the enemy's ships fell, their plans unraveling in the face of humanity's relentless determination. As the last Voraxian ship was destroyed, a cheer erupted through the comms. They had done it. Earth was safe, for now. But as Lena looked out at the debris field, she knew this was only a temporary reprieve. The Voraxians would be back, and next time, they wouldn't underestimate humanity. "Let them come," Hale said, as if reading her thoughts. "We'll be ready." Lena nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. They had faced the abyss and emerged victorious. And as long as humanity stood together, there was nothing they couldn't overcome.